Oh, and just to put the feeler out there for tickets
Yeah.
for the Bama game, I've been keeping an eye on it how it look,
What we
and
looking
we're
like?
live already. So
Yeah.
we'll be
What we looking
joining
like?
in. Hey, this is just a little brief discussion, real quick. We still talking some stuff. Just wanted to get the show started, but the I'm looking at how tickets turn out the week of the games,
Okay.
and as of today, being like the Thursday before the game, tickets are as low as like $100.
There you go. Now you're talking
So
my
yeah, so like
language.
let me see. To sit at the top was, and I know it'll be a little bit more pricier just because of who the opponent is, but like this weekend, sitting at the top is $70 a ticket. To sit in
Man,
the bottom bowl in the section I normally sit in, section three, which is on the home side, it's $107 per ticket.
that's
And
what's
this is
up.
why I filtered it to look for six tickets. So I don't know if we need more than
Right.
that or whatnot. So while even with the filtering going on, I'm still pulling tickets that are like 107, 105 per. And that's what it's
Gotcha.
the week of the game. And it's been that consistent throughout this season so far. Like last for the Vanderbilt game, it was the exact same ordeal. You get to like Wednesday, Thursday, people starting to just trying to offload tickets that they trying to make money off of, and you
Yeah.
that way.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with
So
it. Like I say, this.
I would say let's just keep an eye on it that way, and
Yeah.
then that week of if we find some that dip towards that 120,
Yeah.
115, if something get as low as that,
Yeah.
let's
We'll
let's
jump on it. Yeah.
let's jump on it.
And if you need to, we can send you whatever we need to send you if you just want to get them all at one time. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
fine. Yeah, just get a bundle, and that way everybody's on the
One
same
section.
page. So.
What are
Mhm.
those? What are the sight lines like at Willie B up at the top? Not saying I want to be up at the top, but what's it like? Is there a bad seat in the house?
It's not bad. The
I know it was
environment is
small.
different. Yeah, the environment is different. Like the fan experience itself is it's not as hype. You kind of got people that are just like, hey, I'm just here just for the
We
sake of
just okay.
being here.
We want to be in the
Now,
lower bowl then.
if you sit in the bottom bowl, you got that's where everybody at. You high
That's where we
five
want to be.
everybody that's around you.
Yeah,
You know everybody they throwing drinks and beers around and all this kind
yeah,
of stuff. It's that's the Willie B experience that
yeah,
you want is down there in those. That's why I always try to sit down there, even if it's in one of the corners.
yeah.
You still getting a good view. You can see everything. I've sat in section one before, all the way up against the
Yeah,
giant scoreboard next to the student section. It's like, hey, it's still a great view of the venue. So it's
yeah. That's what's up.
110%. I say let's try to get down there. But if push comes to shove and we got to go sit up there just to get in the building,
Yeah, I
let's
got
do
you.
it anyway. So
I'm good.
I think it'll be fine.
I am good. It's funny. I was just listening to the Paul Feinbaum show, and they talk about Billy Napier and whether or not they think he gonna make it to the end of the year. What y'all think he gonna make it to the end of the season? Or you think he
No,
gonna be out?
no, he's gone. I think that somebody was talking about Sam Pittman. I think this might be it for him. Um, Yeah, I think I was looking at a stat the other day, and they were like, because with the new schedules that came out, the new SEC schedule, you got the new 4-year outlook,
Yeah,
and somebody was online talking about some. Yeah, you say this, you look at it now through lenses as if these are the coaches that are going to be here, when more than likely a good quarter, if not more, of the SEC coaches will be gone and new
yeah, yeah.
by the time a lot
Mhm.
of these, but by that 2029 deadline. So yeah, I think Stoops at Kentucky, I think will be gone. I think
Yeah,
Clark Lee will get poached. Somebody said Lane will probably be in a new position somewhere. Who knows what's gonna go on with Brian Kelly? Um, Somebody said Kirby Smart might be get poached, and he might be NFL somewhere down the line with his
mm,
record and so on and so forth. So it's interesting to look at it from that aspect. Um,
mm.
do like the flip flop schedules though. Like everybody you play, instead of it being 2 years back to back where you go to their venue, then they come to yours. I like how it's by opponents. So you play. Let's just put Missouri. We played Missouri this year. We're not playing them next year. We'll play them the year after that, and you
Right,
everybody's kind of shuffles that way. I like that. Other than your four protected opponents, which
right.
you still go home and home with those now. Because I was looking at Carolina. Carolina's schedule next year is absolutely brutal. You
Yeah,
open at home with hosting Miami, depending on how they look.
right.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be a crazy.
I think one of the good things I read was if you're at school for 4 years, if you're an athlete for 4 years, you will have played. Not you would not have been
Right.
to every venue, but you would have played every team in the SEC, which
Yep.
is something that I think the true SEC aficionados were kind of wanting to see.
Yeah. Another thing somebody said was crazy was that Georgia's never been to A&M ever.
Wow.
And they were saying something like all I think it was either Auburn and Florida will not have they've only played a total of I forget it was like a single digit number, less than five since 2011. So you
Okay.
still haven't got that. South Carolina and Texas will not play each other still until 2027, and
Okay.
Texas will not come to South Carolina to play until 2029, depending on how long they've been in the conference at that point. Still hadn't been
Right.
here. So that it's stuff like that that's still like mind blowing to me with some of these teams that's been in this conference as long as they have. But just to kick things off real quick, I want to jump into the first big game for week 5. Let's go. Let's hit it straight nail on the head. Bama, Georgia. The week is here. The big matchup, the heavy hitters. Georgia's had their home winning streak going on for as long as you can remember, but the one team that's been Georgia's kryptonite has always been Bama, even under Kalen DeBoer. You know, you had the shootout and the slugfest last season with the point totals going crazy. Bama was up by what 40 some odd points, and then Georgia's leading, and then going back and forth in the last 5 minutes of the game, and this and that. Just an absolutely crazy game right now. And so it's going to be in Athens. I am the stern believer of I hate blackout games for big games, and I think everything that's online is talking about they wearing black jerseys and fans want to black out the stadium. I'm not a firm believer in that. I'm very superstitious when it comes to football, but we'll see how that turns out. But Bama's getting a bunch of people back healthy. I think y'all getting Jam Miller back this week.
Mm-hmm.
So see if you can get the running game going. And when you look at Georgia, Georgia's been a team that look at what Tennessee did to them the other week as far as throwing the ball. And Ty
Mm-hmm.
Simpson, albeit against lesser competition, has been somebody who's been unbelievable when you give him time in the pocket as far as getting his receivers going. I think of that receiving room is definitely starting to step up, and you're seeing that you can't just pay attention to Ryan Williams. You've got to look at everybody else going on. You got Bernard who's going off right now. So you look at that and everybody having to shift their focus to everybody. That's what opens those one-on-one opportunities with Ryan Williams where he can really pop and explode. So when for my quick and brief, and I'm handing it over to y'all, this is y'all's team. Um, this game to me is going to come down to which O line can protect the quarterback better. And so what I mean by that is, do you trust Ty Simpson with a clean pocket, or do you trust um oh Lord, I'm forgetting
Stockton.
his name right now.
Gunner.
Huh?
Gunner Stockton.
Yeah, or do you trust Gunner in these big time games? Gunner's at home or whatnot, but who do you take more in this situation as far as who can go and win it? Which quarterback do you trust to go win a game? I think you'll have your chances in the passing game against Georgia if you're Bama. I think you'll be able to take your shots down the field. I think you're running into a situation where Georgia's living off of their front seven to try to live and die by, and if you take your chances against the secondary, you can win some opportunities right there. So it comes down to can the O line protect Ty Simpson in that regard and get that offense humming. So I'll hand it off to y'all, and y'all tell me what y'all think about this one. Big time matchup.
Go ahead, Drew.
So to me, I think this matchup favors all of Georgia. I think it's in Georgia's hands to really win this game, or it's in Georgia's hands to lose this game. And I think to me, it's really not going to come down to the X's and O's. It's really going to come down to discipline in this game to me, because I think both teams have their flaws that we've seen through the first part of the season so far. I think when you overall think about the big picture of this game, Georgia's offense to me still has more to prove than Bama's offense. So when I look at Georgia's offense, I think if we can keep them in a way where they are trying to be run focused, we have a good chance of winning this game. I think the shorter this game is, the better it is for Bama to win this game. The longer this game gets dragged on, the more opportunity from Georgia to get it rolling at some point and to get start putting points on the board. I don't think it's going to be really matched up anything like how last year's game was or like how the Georgia Tennessee game was a couple weeks ago. In the aspect of how fast Bama's going to get off to a start, I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think Bama is still going to try to kind of fill out their opponents early and then really kind of figure out where they want to attack late in the second half. So I think Bama's game plan in this right here is really just to kind of not let Georgia get too off on a fast start. I think Bama's going to be really, really heavy running the ball early in this game. And I think they're really not trying to score more than 21, 28 points in this game total. So I think Bama's aspect is just going to be keep it in range for us to make a knockout punch late. Georgia, on the other hand, I think they are trying to be the knockout opponent early. I think Georgia's trying to come out in this game with the blackout mentality, with the blackout arena. They're trying to come out and make a knockout punch early in this game for Bama because I don't think they want to get into a long, stretched out game like they were against Tennessee because it just leaves them too exposed to take a loss here at this point in this season. And I think Georgia, in this aspect, just wants to escape this game with the win. I don't really think they care about how this game looks, how their team looks, anything. They just want to get out of here with a win and keep focused on the rest of their season. Saying all that to say about the big picture, Bama has everything to lose in this game. Is this a playoff elimination game like everybody's trying to make this game be? I don't think so. I do not think this is a playoff elimination game based on the rest of your schedule for Bama. I said early in this season on this podcast, I think the true formula for college football this year is going to be you got room to lose one out of conference loss and one conference loss, and you can still get in the playoffs. If you lose anywhere outside of those two realms, I think you're done and you're out of here no matter who you are. For instance, Clemson, for example, probably done. Probably done. But Bama, the aspect of it is you can still lose against Georgia, still beat Tennessee, still beat LSU, still beat Auburn and Oklahoma, and I think you still have a great shot at getting in the playoffs. So I think for Bama, this game right here is your last chance to still make the playoffs. So you really can't lose this one to keep the season in the aspect of what we're looking for. But Bama, to me, has everything to lose rather than Georgia. Georgia can still lose this game, and I think they'll still be a top 5 team in the country. Favorite team in the country. Might not be a talent-wise team in the country, but favorite team in the country. So to me, I think Georgia has it going to be the safe side, but Bama has everything to lose, and Bama's going to be the team that's going to, I think, ultimately come out and win this game. I think it's going to be close, but I think Georgia's inability to create a consistent pass rush is going to be what falls them at the end of the day. When it comes time to it, they're not going to be able to get to Ty Simpson. Bama by at least 3 points.
You said a lot of things that are spot on there. I definitely think that the offensive line for both teams is going to tell us who's going to win this game early. Like we talked about a little bit last week, Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer's running game is the short passing game. Okay. I'm a little worried about Alabama's offensive line because they weren't really able to generate any kind of pass, any kind of push against Florida State, but I do think Florida State is much better than we thought they were when that game was played. But I still haven't seen them get a lot of push. Alabama's defensive line, if my sources are correct, I think we've only tallied 4 sacks for the year. That's one a game. You know, you talked about making Gunnar Stockton uncomfortable. That's not what it appears that Alabama is doing so far this year against one team that was, let's go ahead and say, an above average team, and 2 average, a less, 2 teams that whatever. So we're gonna tell a lot. This could very well be a situation to where Georgia comes out and just lays the wood to Bama. I'm not a fan of a blackout. Last time they had a blackout in Georgia, Julio Jones and them came in town and slapped them all around. If I was them, I probably would stay away from the blackout, but it looks like it's already been set up. I just don't yet have all the confidence in Alabama as a complete unit playing against a legitimate top 5 team in the country. I think the way that this game is won or lost by either team is going to go a long way toward the end of the season when it's time to talk about playoff selections or whatever. You're right, Drew. If Bama loses this game, depending on how they lose it, I do think with the gauntlet that they still have to ride through the remainder of this season they can rebound with 2 losses against 2 top 5 teams at the end of the season. They would still be in if they went out. But I'm really more interested to see who Alabama really is. I think Georgia knows who they are. They've always known who they are. Whether they've been able to execute properly against Alabama and Tennessee early in games has been a hiccup for them, but they know who they are. This is kind of the wrong game for Bama to try to figure it out, but this is where we are. Bama's got a shot, but I'm going to have to go with Georgia here, probably somewhere around the 10 to 13 point range. But I do have it relatively close going into the fourth quarter, but I just think Georgia's going to ultimately be a little too much. Bama's not going to get enough pressure on Stockton. He's going to get confidence early. And we're kind of going to see Georgia kind of carve Bama up a good bit throughout the course of this game. Bend, don't break for Alabama on defense, but they're going to end up breaking toward the end. So I'm going to go Georgia by 10.
Yeah. And one quick point I do want to make real quick. I think the only way Bama's going to win this game, and I think we have the capability of doing it, which is why I'm picking Bama to win, is by beating Georgia through the air. I think that's the only way Bama has the opportunity of really winning this game is by just taking advantage, maybe throwing for 270 to 300 yards passing for Todd Simpson type of game, three touchdowns through the air type of game. I really see that being the case for Bama. I think we can do it, but what would really scare me is if Georgia gets into a realm of where they got to be the team they were to beat Tennessee. I do not think we're the team that can stop Georgia through the air and gonna stop them through the air. I just don't see it. And I didn't see I see some good flashes from our secondary, but Savion Brown last week against Wisconsin saw me some couple flashes where I'm like, I don't even see him getting your head around. And I think against Wisconsin, they had a number one receiver where he came from a top tier school, I think in the Big Ten, and got into Wisconsin kind of as a second tier type player. But he was an aspect, if he can hurt you, I think everybody on Georgia's offense can hurt you. As just being as a secondary type aspect. So I'm like, oh, secondary for Bama to me is a question mark. And Bama's offensive line is a question mark. So I do have a couple different question marks, but I think if Bama's offensive line cannot hold up, we're getting blown out. That's what I think you're falling into, Sean. I do think the aspect of our offensive line is not going to get blown up, and I think that we're not going to get blown out for those reasons. I think we can stand the game. But I think it's going to be a lot of 3 and outs in this game. I think every team's not going to score every time they get the ball or every other time they get the ball. I think it's going to be periods of time where both offenses are stagnant. But over the course of a game, I think each team will have spurts where they can score like 2 to 3 touchdowns throughout these 3 to 4 quarters.
Yeah, and we're also going to see how good of a coach Kalen DeBoer really is in this game, and Ryan Grubb as an offensive coordinator, because Kirby Smart is going to throw some exotic coverages out there. He's going to send pressure. He's going to go into a 3 downs. He's going to go into a 4 down, hit you with a 5-2. He'll do anything he needs to do from an adjustment perspective to stop what you're doing. So how good are you, Kalen? How good are you, Ryan? Are you going to be able to navigate Kirby with what I think is probably a less talented team? We'll see. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. What you think, Van?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with both of y'all. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I'm not expecting an offensive, just juggernaut of a game. I'm honestly not even predicting it to be kind of like the Tennessee Georgia game we saw a couple weeks ago, as far as that to point total. But I think it'll be low scoring. I got Bama in this one. I just think it's something when it comes to Kirby Smart playing against Alabama teams. Is just maybe it's mental. I don't know what it is. He can dominate everybody else, but with the history we've looked at Kirby dominate Tennessee. The way that we look at that type of matchup is the same way I see Bama dominating Georgia, no matter who's at the helm of it. So I got Bama winning this one. I think it'll be close. I honestly do think my decision comes down to I trust what I've seen out of Todd Simpson more than I have seen out of Gunnar Stockton. I think that's just the biggest part I can put into it. I trust that offense, and I trust what I've seen out of that quarterback. That's the quarterback I would take out of the two. No matter the environment, they've been to a tough environment, and I think that Florida State game was more of a outlier than it was a definitive moment in the season. I think you're on the road, you're expecting a team that hadn't done much the previous season, and you kind of got smacked in the mouth real quick, and before you can realize it or pick your head up, boom, the game's over. And now you've looked great ever since then, even versus lesser opponents, but still you shaped up what you need to shape up to keep the game going. And I think getting the running back game back, Jam Miller, I think it'll be enough of a running type of threat to keep the defense honest and keep the line honest on the defensive side of the ball for Georgia. But all in all, I don't trust their Georgia secondary. Now, they might come out and have one of them light switches type of games where just everything lights up. But like I said, it comes down to the quarterback. I don't trust Gunnar Stockton to go against a Bama defense and score a lot of points to go win this game, even though you're at home. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
And I'll say this, I'm not gonna lie. I think the pendulum is about to turn or has turned on that Kirby Smart curse versus Bama type of thing. I think that's something that was a Nick Saban type of thing. And Nick Saban knew the type of teams and the type of mentality he had to have to be able to beat Georgia consistently. I think going into the second half of last year's game, that switch flipped Kirby Smart. I think he's like, oh, I got this guy. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to see that more this game than ever. I think I'm right there with you, man. I think it's going to come down to certain big time moments like
Mhm.
third down conversions or
Yep.
some fourth down tries, things like that, some special team plays that are going to be able to be Georgia's fault in this game. But I do think overall Kirby Smart is going to show that he has a formula to beat these type of Bama teams. And I think it's going to be just bully ball. I think it's going to be the type of team that Alabama was for so long versus teams. I think that is what it's going to be for Georgia. I think they're going to
Mhm.
be the more dominant team overall, but I just think that Bama can take advantage of certain areas that are going to be able to, in the end of the game, they can say, we did just enough to get by. They did just enough to get that last possession of the game where they can go down and make a drive to win the game. Or
Mhm.
opposite, where their defense goes out. I don't think they're going to have a defensive scheme that's truly going to stop Georgia. I think it's going to be about flags, penalties, third and longs, and turnovers. I can
Mhm.
honestly see Bama getting a couple of turnovers, which is what I'm kind of depending on for defensive wise in this game. But I think if it comes to a point where Georgia just has to get to that Tennessee type offense where they just spread out and we throwing this ball, I don't think Bama's got to answer for that portion of it. I don't think their pass rush is good for that portion of it. I don't care who we get back. Unless we get some Will Anderson and some people like that back on this offense, I mean, on this defense, I don't see that part of it coming back, which is what is the frustrating part for me about this game because I do think Bama's offense is, to me, one of the best offenses in the country.
Mhm.
I just don't know about play calling, and I don't know about overall can our defense hold up and get the stops we need to in key moments. Because just as much as I say Georgia's going to have penalties, I can see Bama getting about 2 to 3 pass interference calls, and that'd be big time moments. And that's 14 to 10 extra points that we didn't have to give up.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, I hear you. Well, another game I want to hit on real quick. I know we're short on time, but Ole Miss at home taking on LSU. This is another big matchup this weekend when it comes to two big time programs in the SEC, two big time coaches. Um, I think I've always said, give me 3 weeks. I can tell you what I think you are. Give me 4 weeks. You are who you are week four in the season. There is no trying to correct it or anything like that. And we got LSU with the same old offensive problem that they had last year when it comes to running the football. They can pass it all day, but running the football is a challenge for them. You know, you look at passing, they're ranked with 31st in the country in passing yards, but in the run, you're 112th, right? So when I look at this game, even though it's in Lane Kiffin's backyard, um, I think this game comes down to the LSU offense versus the Ole Miss defense because LSU's defense is the real deal. You know, they have not allowed any team to score more than 10 points on them this season. And that's including a supposedly high power Florida team, a supposedly high power Clemson team. We've seen how those turned out. But all in all, this defense is legit. You know, giving the opponents throw it all out the window. You are who you are. You think that's who you are. Now, when it comes to Ole Miss going on the defensive side of the ball, they're 25th in pass defense, but 122nd in run defense. If you're LSU and you're on the road, the biggest thing that we've always said in the SEC, to be able to win, you got to be able to run the ball, especially on the road. You run the ball, you control the clock, and keep the ball out of Lane Kiffin's offense's hands. And if you can do that, you give yourself some opportunity to score, and that's kind of like what they've been doing. The defense has kept them in every game this season. You don't need to go score a whole lot of points. You need to do just enough just to keep you get into the 25, 27 score range. I think you can come out with a win here. Now, I think Ole Miss is sticking with what's his name, Trinidad
Mhm.
for the quarterback this week. He's
Yeah.
looked good. Don't get me wrong, their offense looks like a Lane Kiffin offense. They're wanting to pass the ball all around. They've got, I think, 4 or 5 receivers already with over 100 yards, receptions, and so on and so forth. But they're looking good. But I think the defense will shut this offense down. But can the offense for LSU do enough and put enough points on the board to overcome whatever Lane's got up his sleeve, which he always has something up his sleeve. I think last season was it LSU never led in the entirety of the game until they won it in overtime. I think was that
Yeah.
one of the crazy stats from last year. So do you end up with another one of these games where you go to overtime and you have just a crazy wild finish to it? But we'll see how it goes. But I think this is another interesting matchup going into this weekend. It's another as right now the spread is like a point and a half. So it's really a coin toss as to who's going to win this game. But I think this is more one of the more interesting mid-afternoon games in that prime time 3:30 ABC slot that a lot of people are going to tune into.
I got three major points about this game, and I'm gonna be quick with it. Point number one, LSU, this is your season right here. Not an aspect of what the outcome of this game is going to be, but this right here is going to show what type of team you truly are in this season right here. Now, can you fix some of the stuff that can be exposed in this type of game? Maybe. But like Van said, if you ain't got it by this point in the season, I really got serious doubts if you're ever going to get it for the rest of the season. Mainly talking about LSU's offensive game. I think they got 80% of it down pat, but when they get into that 20%, that ain't working. Man, they look pedestrian. And I think that's a big thing that's going to show up in this game right here, being that this is really their first huge matchup of the year. Clemson was supposed to be a huge matchup, but I even thought going into that game, Clemson wasn't going to win that game. So I don't really think it is this. Second point, Ole Miss has a QB problem, and I think that problem is going to be answered this weekend in this game. Now, I don't know if the quarterback has enough on his belt to win this game. But if there was ever a quarterback I can go on College Football 26 and make up and create to beat an LSU defense, it's this guy right here that's about to step on the field as a starting quarterback. It is him. He is that guy that can throw the ball, run it, and make smart plays. Now, I think his name Michael Reed, that plays for Texas A&M. He's a real true dual-threat quarterback, but he's not like a smart dual-threat quarterback. He's more like a Johnny Manziel that I can just make random creative plays and I can make them happen, make them work.
Ad lib.
Guy is more like a Kyler Murray type of a guy that can really just tear you up, throwing and passing. And I'm not looking to run the ball for 80 yards for a touchdown. I'm really just looking to run this ball for a first down and keep these drives going and keep these drives moving. Now, he's going to have one of the biggest defensive threats in the country spying on him probably all game long in Harold Perkins Jr. But I think this guy can really make some plays for Ole Miss to make them keep this game interesting. Third point, Lane Kiffin, do not fumble this bag for your team. You got the team all around, offensive firepower and defensive firepower to get by LSU. But this is a coaching game to me. This is a true coaching game, and we got two coaches who have known not to win games for their team, but lose games for their team. So I don't know which coach is really going to take it all. I got LSU winning this game just because I think they are who I thought they were, as being a top 5, top 3 team in the country, truly, offense and defensively. But I think overall, Ole Miss is a team to watch out for a big upset just because of who they're going to have at the quarterback position. Now, if he comes in this game and struggles early on, I think that just says what it's going to be for the overall rest of the game. But if he comes in this game confident and can execute things early on, LSU's biggest weakness is a true dual-threat quarterback. True dual-threat quarterback.
Yeah, and this kid is, I think, this kid, I didn't realize until maybe last week that the kid came from Division II. Like this kid's got like something to prove. Like he's got like what they call it. He's on a platform right now. He's got the microphone. You know what I'm saying? Right. And he's got all the tools to sing the song the way that Luther sang it. You know what I'm saying? Like but this is his moment, right? This weekend, right? This is his moment. So we'll find out, like you said, Drew, whether or not this kid is ready for the moment this weekend. I'm a little worried about LSU for all the obvious reasons. I'm worried about. I'm not going to call it hype over LSU. I think they're where they are because they won a couple games, but the team that they've beaten are proven to not be as quality, as good as they may have been at the time that those games were actually played. So I don't necessarily know if LSU's been tested. I think Ole Miss, they've already played an SEC game, lined up and, got behind their pads real good for 4 quarters. The game is at home. It's in Oxford. I like Lane Kiffin's creativity with the talent that he has. And to your point in the very beginning, this is Lane Kiffin's opportunity here to not Lane Kiffin a game and go ahead and put his team on his back and on a trajectory to go ahead and be talked about as a legitimate college football playoff team. This is what Lane Kiffin can do for his team with a win. Both these teams can lose this game and still have everything in front of them. But like you said, who are you? I'm interested to find out whether or not Ole Miss is physical enough. If they are, they'll win the game. If Lane Kiffin does not abuse 4th downs and just punt the ball from time to time, I think it gives him an advantage. He just gets too crazy in games like this, especially at home when he feels like he's got to do something. When at the end of the day, all you gotta do is just coach, man. You got all this talent, you got these players, man. Just call the plays, let the players do what they need to do. Be a smart coach. Get off the field on third down on defense. Punt it 35 and beyond, unless you're at your 40. Punt it. You know what I'm saying? Use the blackjack rules. It's real simple. You're a good coach, just do it. But I got Ole Miss winning the game. I got Ole Miss winning the game by 10. I got them winning by 10.
And real quick, this is good for if we're staying on the topic of Ole Miss and what they can use this game to be. This really can springboard your season right now. If you go ahead and win this game, you've only got 2 more ranked opponents on your schedule total.
Right. Yeah.
So, and those 2 teams are Georgia and Oklahoma. Now, those are in back-to-back weeks, but after this, you got Washington State, then you got Georgia, Oklahoma, then you got South Carolina coming to you, the Citadel, Florida coming to you, and then at Mississippi State. That's it.
Well, the biggest thing about that Oklahoma game is if Mateer's still out, I mean, you
right. If for the month of October, if he's still out,
this is Lane Kiffin's year to make.
Yeah, if you gonna make a statement, this is it.
But you got to make the playoffs this year for Lane Kiffin. You're not gonna have a more better opportunity than this year to make the playoffs. This game doesn't have to be it all. Doesn't have to be the stamp that says this gets you in the playoff, but beat this team that's coming to your house. I mean, that's a real achievable thing to do.
Yeah, it is. And Lane usually fumbles late in the season, later in the season. Like you just said, Van, his season later, it ain't been this easy since he's been at Ole Miss. So, he's got to capitalize right now. And I hope that he understands that. And he just, goes into this game with that mindset, understanding exactly how important this game really is. Coaches talk about it all the time. We're dissecting it from a different perspective. Where's Lane's head going into this game? We'll find out.
Yeah. But they would have a real chance to win this game. My final point, a real chance to win this game. No matter how bad people want to say the Florida game was for Florida, they were in that game up until like the final 5 minutes of that game. So it wasn't like LSU just was whooping them all game long and DJ Lavey was just seeing ghosts, stuff like that. The only reason they lost was because of the quarterback.
Right.
You switch good quarterback play in that game right there, it's going to be a totally different outlook. So, like you said, play smart. Punt the ball, play field position, make this LSU offense be perfect for 4 quarters.
Right.
And see what you got into that game. You're going to have a tight game, like you said, a 10 to 7-point victory type atmosphere for one of these teams. And we got a lot to show for this weekend. So we got a lot going on with Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, and then the non-conference game, you got Penn State, Oregon. You got a full slate on coming this weekend. So you got a lot to pay attention to.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time Penn State and Oregon have played somebody, right? This is like they both had a couple cupcakes, whatever. Now it's time to go ahead and go. James Franklin. The thing about it, I think both of these teams, and I didn't know if you were trying to go here, Van, or not, but since
go ahead, I'm wrapping it up.
James Franklin, I'm a fan. I've always been a fan of his on this podcast. This game is happening early enough in the season to where if he loses it, he can still get himself back in the conversation. But the problem for James Franklin is if he loses this game, I have a strong feeling that everybody, even Penn State people, are going to start questioning whether or not he's the guy to get them over the hump. Right? It's one thing to get them where they are right now. He has built Penn State into an extremely reputable program. I got a guy I went to high school with. His son plays. Well, he's a sophomore at Penn State right now. They love the culture. They love the coaches. They love everything about what goes on at Penn State. Obviously, it's a great place to be. But is Franklin the guy to get them not just to the playoffs, not just make a run like you did, but is this the year you actually break through? I don't know. We're going to find a lot out about both these teams. I have a lot more confidence in Oregon just because of Dan Lanning and just how he's able to make adjustments and how he can put an offensive scheme together. But at the same time, James Franklin, I think he's a defensive guy to the core. He's going to put something together. Their quarterback is solid enough to win a championship. I think his scheme is good enough to win a championship. The boy's eating up cornbread to win a championship, but he got to do something special this weekend, and that's where it kind of begins and ends with me as far as Penn State's concerned. I think Oregon just has too much.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for Penn State here. But I have Oregon winning the game by 14 points, unfortunately for James Franklin.
Yeah, I got Oregon winning this one just to really touch on it. I think it's two crazy quarterbacks that got really great potential in what their talent level can be, and two coaches to me that both are looking for that, like you said, that hump, they get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State should win this game. I think just because they should win it because they have the more talent in the trenches that we know about. This is Big Ten football. This is West Coast football for Oregon. It's football that I really don't watch or really tune into. But for what I've looked at, Oregon to me is the bigger question marks in their trenches talent. Penn State can come in there and run this ball with a dual threat, double-edged sword when it comes to the running back position, and really can run this ball and really make it tough for Oregon and really make this game tight and a short next game. But Oregon has, to me, the more firepower that you've seen. They got to me, I think honestly the better quarterback. I know what people say about Drew Lar, but I think Dante Moore is the better quarterback overall, and I think they got all the momentum going into this game. Penn State to me and James Franklin, I don't know how they have kept him this long, to answer your question, Sean, to kind of get into your question. I would have been jumped off that wagon 4 years ago. Like, there's chances when I've seen against him against going to Ohio State where I'm just like, all right, you've shown that you can't beat certain teams in your conference.
Right.
Let alone this national championship that we're trying to eclipse. And two teams in your conference have won it the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting, man. It's real interesting on those two games right there.
Yeah. It is. And, like I said, it's funny because for some reason this is just a random question I got as we get ready to close this thing out. But Vanderbilt is just on my mind for some odd reason. And their coach, that somebody was joking on the Fine Bomb show a little while ago. I kind of got on the background talking about the Vanderbilt coach has just as many wins against Alabama as Kirby Smart does. And how good is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like if this guy wins 7-8 games again this year, does he end up at a premier job? I mean, who else is out there? He's like the up and coming guy I don't know. This dude has just been on my mind. I want to watch them play again at some particular point in time to really get a little bit of a better assessment. I know we're gonna get to him at some point in time in our season coming up here, but I don't know, man. I've been talking about Vanderbilt on this podcast for 3 years, man, and I think that the tide is turning on him, man. I think I'm kind of becoming a little bit of a fan.
And the thing is, we brought it up a couple of weeks ago when it comes to Vandy, and Clark Lee is a guy in my mind, and we said it. He knows who he is, and he knows what he wants his team to be.
Yeah,
and that's you gonna play good defense.
Yep.
You're not gonna make a lot of mistakes. They are very disciplined. Yep. And they're going to control the clock. They're not going to give you a lot of chances to come out and beat them. Mm-mm. They have zero problem touching the ball 3 times in the first half.
Right.
And guess what? Today, 3, you only going to touch it 2 times. They're going to keep the ball off almost an entire quarter. And that's how they played basketball the last couple of years. I've watched them come to Carolina. I've watched us go there, and you sitting there, and you go get a plate of chips, and you go and fix some food on the grill and so on and so forth, and you think, oh, they had the ball for 8 minutes. They had only gone from the 20 to the 35. And I'm talking about they just sit there and don't call the play till 2 seconds on the play clock. All of that, they play it to perfection. They know what they want to be.
If you go against the wrong type of team or a team that's not prepared for that,
yeah,
you're gonna catch them in a situation where you're just putting so much pressure on them.
Yeah. Right.
It's like somebody, if you like doing an assignment at work, I mean, you got a week to do this assignment. Yeah, those first couple of days of the assignment, you're really not locking in like you need to lock in.
Right.
But if you got a team that says, all right, you got the same assignment to do, but you got just 2 days to do it, you got 2 opportunities to do it, like, damn, I got to make sure these both opportunities are perfect. I might have been used to getting 8 to 10 possessions in the game. Now my offense is only getting 5 possessions in the game.
Right. Right.
We ain't the same team like we was before. And it really puts, if you know how to do that as a coach, because going back to talking about college football 26, Van, like you said, you did those like crazy rebuilds. Van does crazy rebuilds. Like the type of guy that gets North Texas, rebuilds North Texas and Appalachian State to be one of these 5 stars. I'm not that
good. Juggernaut, right?
Van's like, you know what, I'm going to get this Appalachian North Texas State team. And I'm going to
Charlotte
0, and I'm just going to hold the ball for as long as I possibly can. Like, I'm like, okay, it's a recipe to win.
Right.
Not that type of coach, and I would not be prepared for it if I'm looking at that type of team. So Vandy Kent, man, I just don't think Sean Vandy's going to be the school that he's going to get noticed on. That's my concern, and I think
Yeah.
that's what kind of like an NIL on the coach's side today is.
Yeah.
I think so because I think by doing that, you're going to get a lot of signature wins. You
Yeah.
look at what they did last year, were able to beat Bama and they almost beat Texas and all of this.
Yeah.
Now you've made that team a little better to where now you going into it. I forgot I had their schedule pulled up, but as crazy as Vandy looks, right? You don't got another test until you play Bama,
Right.
right? So if you go play Bama after this week. Then you got LSU, you got Missouri. LSU struggling on offense. Can you stretch that game out to where you limit LSU to 5 possessions, like you were saying, Drew?
But
Can
LSU
you,
would be that team. LSU would be a team that would fall into that
The
realm.
trap. In that trap.
and
Yeah.
then you not take they don't take a lot of chances down the field on offense. They're gonna
No.
lull you to sleep. Take what you give them, and now you doing that. LSU got to go to them to play. Then you got Missouri, who I still think is a question mark team, a
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Texas team that's struggling, and then you got Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee. So you've got a little gauntlet, but you're talking about a team that doesn't make a lot of penalties. They don't make mistakes, and they week 4, you know who you are.
Yep.
Vandy has zero questions about across the board about their running game, about their passing game, about their secondary, about their D line, O line. No questions, and everybody's on the same page. That is the worst team you want to play
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
any point in the season. It don't
Yeah.
matter if it's late in the season or early in the season. You
Yeah.
don't want
their
to play a
checklist
team.
as a team is different than a normal team's checklist. Normal team's checklist,
Right.
I'm saying this, and you can say this as a who's been a coach, Sean. Somebody saying, all right, normal checklist is saying my quarterback needs to throw the ball 15 to 20 times. If
Right.
I get my quarterback to throw the ball 15 to 20 times, he's gonna have about 200 yards passing, and we're gonna have about a touchdown or two, and we're gonna be in a range where we can win this game. He's like, I don't care who's gonna be the person to do it. We need our quarterback to get like 150 yards passing, but
Yep.
we need as a committee, as an overall team,
Yep.
we got to get to like 200 yards rushing.
Yep.
And then overall, we need our time of possession as a team to get to like 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
That recipe right there, if we get those 3 things done on our checklist, I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care who you put as the other opponent. If we can do those things as a team,
We
we're going
can
to
win.
be in position. Going into that fourth quarter, we're going to have a shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a shot.
Yeah.
That's just saying what we got to do as our team. That's not saying what the other team is going to have going wrong, what other team's going to have going right. Because you go up against a team like South Carolina, not to be a bear
No,
back,
you good.
but you get a quarterback that gets hurt. Now you're way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it comes a cakewalk to you and just saying, well, we're easily can do what we want to do now because now we're getting more opportunities to do what we normally do on our offense. So Vanderbilt to me is the biggest question mark. I'm just curious about. I don't know how to. I still think we're too early in the coaching realm of NIL because the coaches takes about 3 to 4 years to switch schools. To see
Yeah.
if the opportunity is really going to come aligned where somebody's going to try to poach him to a big name school.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think if he stays at Vanderbilt for the next 5 years, yeah, he's probably gonna get 3 more signature wins against some
Yeah.
big time schools. Probably might get an opportunity where you in the conference championship conversation or playoff spot conversation.
Yeah.
But can you get that at Vanderbilt? That's a
That's
commitment.
the
Interesting. And then if you look at, they're going to beat Utah State this weekend. If Bama
Yeah.
loses to Georgia, Vanderbilt, when was the last time Vanderbilt was ranked higher than Bama in a head-to-head matchup?
Never.
Never.
I'll say never.
Never. I don't know. I'm just saying never. So what I'm saying is confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence, right? Vandy is guaranteed to beat Utah State. I'm saying right now, guaranteed to beat them. Bama could easily lose, like we said, to Georgia. And next weekend could really be stupid for Alabama. Could be really. Can you lose some back to back to Vanderbilt?
Back to
Come
back,
on
yeah.
now. Hey, look. Hey, I'm just.
What will happen at home? What will happen at home? Vanderbilt's gonna catch a team that comes to them. They're not gonna. I don't think they're the team yet to go on the road.
To go on the road and do it.
But
Yeah.
but I mean,
I'm just saying.
it might be a situation like it was in South Carolina where somebody gets hurt and it just
Your game plan is out the window.
it just devastates the team.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
Bama,
yeah.
I don't see that because Bama can pull 3 quarterbacks off the bench and be like,
True that.
all y'all got it.
Yeah.
All y'all can beat this team as long as y'all just run the game plan. But Vanderbilt is trying to throw you off your game plan somehow.
Correct. Yeah.
I got you.
It's gonna be fun, man. Like I said, I threw it out there. Vanderbilt has been on my mind this week for some reason. I just can't get them out my head. I just had to bring it up. I had to verbalize this, and this was the place to do it.
For sure.
Thank you for listening.
Too easy, too easy. Well, hey, thank everybody for tuning in. We're gonna cut this one at this point, and we got some exciting football this weekend. So I'm definitely ready to get into it. I love the ESPN new feature. If you got the ESPN app, you can put 4 games up at the same time on your TV and all of that. Hey, I'm definitely gonna be tuned in. You can randomize it, so on and so forth. Unsolicited ad right there. But for sure, we will catch y'all next week. And until then, we'll see you.
All right.
Definitely. Deuces.